Hello, everybody. Hello, spicy friends. So, we are back
Rawr!
with the Mother of Dragons. I was just showing JL. I was wearing my Fire Cannot Kill a Dragon sweatshirt. I love this. It's available on Etsy. I designed it. Well, I created the design and then I gave the design to the person that runs the Etsy shop because I wanted it to still be there because I intend on buying another one. But so, JL, what are your opinions on the Mother of Dragons?
She is a badass. She is incredible. She is beautiful. She was done wrong. And the reason why I say she was done wrong is because HBO ran out of material and let me have my little rant session here, Rach. So just
Oh,
pause
go
whatever
ahead.
you're about
You
to say
you
here.
go. You do it, girl. You just I'm
Okay. Here's what I have to say. If the author does not have any more of the material, you need to work cohesively with him and what he's working on instead of writing trash fan fiction.
that I wouldn't even
Granted,
qualify that as fanfic. That was something that belonged in the garbage.
granted, yes, George was there and he was the one that approved for some of the things, but you have to admit, when you film it and it's filmed one way, and then it goes to editing, and then editing's the one that goes and fucks everything up,
Well, I
and
mean
then
that
gives you
doesn't shock me. That doesn't shock me at all. That's how the Rise of Skywalker ended up so fucked up. The editor was like, "I'm the one that shapes the narrative." It's like, bitch, that was supposed to be the
no,
director.
you don't. Your one job is to make it all flow seamlessly, which they didn't do. I mean, one coffee cups that was still seen on the set in multiple different scenes in the very last season.
Well, I
Fucking
mean,
water
and I
bottles
love
left
that.
out.
I love for a fact that the bitch that played Sansa Stark tried to like pin that on Amelia, and Amelia was like, no, no. You can blame that on a Jonas brother. He was the one that brought her the coffee, not me.
That's too funny. Yeah, nah, nah. And to top it all off, George hasn't even gotten close to finishing the next book in the series. Daenerys is still alive, mofos.
You have no idea
Brothers,
how many people
sisters,
I've
she
gotten into fights with over that. There are so many people like, she's dead. I'm like, no, she's not.
no, she's not. On the show, she is. In the books, she's still very much alive.
Well, I mean,
But,
even in the
but
show, fucking George said that technically there was supposed to be another few episodes or something that showed where Drogon took Daenerys because she is supposed to come back and she's supposed to have like another dance of the dragons with John, and I hope that she burns his fucking ass
and if
to like
any
a
of
crisp.
y'all have, I know Rachel hasn't, but any of y'all that are on the replay, if you have watched it, which I'm hoping y'all did because knowing my ass, and Rachel already knows my ass, I watched every single episode that there is of House of the Dragon for the new season. We
I
already
haven't watched it.
know that Daenerys is the true definition of Azor Ahai. She is the prince that was promised. It was not Jon Snow. It was her. She is the one. She is the one that is supposed to go and unite everybody. But what did they do instead? Oh no! They didn't let Daenerys kill the White Walker. They made freaking Arya the one that stabbed the king of the White Walkers. They basically turned it into a Stark show. It basically was let's give the Starks the happy ending, which for some of the characters I'm cool with them getting a happy ending, but the story itself,
Like, I'm just
you
gonna say this right now. Sansa Stark, everybody's like, Sansa was the epitome of the survivor. No, Sansa
No,
was the epitome of a manipulator. Sansa took
she was
everything she learned from Joffrey and Cersei and
no, no,
twisted it to
no,
fit her.
not just Joffrey and
Well,
Cersei.
and Bolton too.
No, not just him.
Oh,
Think
Littlefinger.
about it. So put it into perspective. I know it's supposed to be an episode about Daenerys, but since you bring this up, you have to look at it from all aspects of the people she surrounded herself with. She got manipulation tactics from Marjorie Tyrell. She got tactics from what's his name? Tyrion, from Marjorie's grandmother. Marjorie's grandmother's the one that poisoned Joffrey.
Which
She's the
can we
one
give
that
a shout out to that badass bitch that's like, fuck you, I'm gonna take this bitch I'm gonna take this little bitch out.
and then to top it all off, she also got the manipulation from Littlefinger. So all of these people, all of these manipulators, all of these people accumulated. She took different things as far as fashion, politics, manipulation, everything, all from these people.
Yeah, the
And
fashion at the
used
end
it to
of
her
the
advantage.
Let me see. I was showing JL. This is a Madness book. So I found this, and it's the photography of Game of Thrones. And she'd be heavy as fuck, but there's some really awesome pictures in here. But one of the things that I don't think anybody really paid much attention to was how Sansa was dressed at the end of the season. Sansa, when she's sitting on her little fucking throne up in Winterfell, she's literally wearing almost verbatim the same dress that you see Cersei sitting in whenever Daenerys comes to King's Landing with Drogon. Like it's literally almost verbatim the same fucking dress. It's the armor that she's got from the neck down. Like it's gonna take me a while to find it. That's heavy. Y'all can find
Now
it.
with that, she has different tie-ins to different parts of her family, like the scales of the Tullys, the red leaves of the god trees, the fur from
you see,
the Starks.
I see more of Cersei than I do of any other family on Sansa. Because when you think about it, Sansa wanted a throne and she got one. That was her whole goal, the whole story. Get a throne. That was it.
Yeah,
and she got one.
I did like the fact that yes, she was dressed just like Cersei. I did like that she did pay homage to her deceased family members and whatnot. So that's like the one plus I will give Sansa for that.
I don't give her any. I hate Sansa Stark. Sansa Stark can go eat a dick and choke on it.
Well, shit. She probably could have done that with Theon's, especially since Ramsay went and freaking cut it off and probably would have served it for her as a freaking meal.
Went Hannibal Lecter on it. So let's get back to Daenerys. So we have this that I'm going to add. So these are all of the seasons and all of the episodes of Daenerys Targaryen on Game of Thrones. So another badass moment of her and Drogon. I think that's one of my favorite moments where she's standing there in front of all of the masters and like they're like, your reign has ended, and she's like, my reign has just begun. And then Drogon comes in with like a fucking ven, and I'm just like, but I think we can all agree that one of the most apt reactions to the end of the season was Jason Momoa's. If you haven't seen Jason Momoa's reaction to what happens to Daenerys at the end of the season, go look it up. It's on YouTube. It's fucking hilarious. But I agree with him.
I will say the most epic moment, most epic cinematic moment of Daenerys's for me was when she finally took the Red Keep and the doors open, and from right behind her, Drogon's in the background, and his wings fold open, unfurl behind her. You can't see him behind her, but you just see those wings on her back. You know which one I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, the one where she's walking, basically it's into the throne room, but she walks through, and as Drogon takes off, like, it makes her look like she's literally got wings.
Yes, that is
Pretty
by
fucking iconic.
far one of my most favorite scenes out of that entire series, because that was like, that's my girl.
I loved, the moment I loved next to, like, my be all to end all was where, well, one of the moments was where, Jon was kissing her, and, and Drogon was just like, "Bitch, I will fucking roast you. Get off."
Mm-hmm.
But I think the picture you're talking about, if I click on that, so right here at the top,
Yeah, that one.
yeah,
By
like,
far the best, most amazing cinematic moment that they ever filmed on Game of Thrones, in my personal opinion.
yeah, it. I mean, let's be real. The whole symbolism of the snow and the wings, and I mean, look how she's walking. She's almost like she's trying to hold herself in a regal way. Like, and at the beginning of the season, you hear Viserys telling her, "You're always slouching. Stand up straight. Show them that you have a woman's body." So seeing her like jolt up and like stand bolt straight, it's almost like even then his voice is like whispering in her ear, like, "Stand up straight. You're a fucking queen." So, one question I have is, what is your favorite quote of Daenerys Targaryen? Because we both, JL and I both, started learning High Valyrian, which, if you haven't done it, highly recommend. It's a lot of fun.
I'm sorry, I got distracted.
What is your favorite quote from Daenerys? Like I said, we all began. We learned. We were beginning, and I need to catch up on my lessons, but we were learning High Valyrian. So
yeah, I'm behind. I'm behind, very badly behind. What was it? A dragon has no master?
dragon is not a slave.
Yeah, that's it.
Zeldrizes busdari ixios dayor.
That's it.
A dragon is not a slave. I like that one, but I also like the Valar Morgulis, and then Valar Dohaires. All men must serve, all men must die. I love that quote because it leads to one of the most iconic moments with Dany and Melisandre when they're walking through that archway, and she says, Valar Morgulis, and Daenerys is just like, all men must die, but we are not men. And then you see, so what are your opinions on what Daenerys did to King's Landing? Right off the bat, what's your opinion on that?
That was fucked up more than the Pizza Hut order I just got back.
I'm actually okay with it. Okay with it.
Okay. I say that with regards to the fact that throughout the entire series, Daenerys did not want to destroy it.
No.
She did not want to lay waste to the Red Keep, King's Landing, nothing. She just wanted to get back what belonged to her family. And you fuck with her best friend, and who is the most like her sister. And yeah, the fact that they made her go Mad Queen pissed me the fuck off.
I don't like that representation, I'll be honest with you, because Daenerys throughout the entire series tried to do what no other Targaryen has ever tried to do, which is the right thing for others, not for themselves, for others. And that's one of the things that drove me absolutely crazy when they showed her in that light. and everybody was giving her shit left and right for what she did because of Melisandre's execution.
Yeah.
Like it she when you see her standing there staring at her, and then you see Melisandre say Dracarys and everything, that's literally her telling her, burn it all. That's Melisandre telling her friend, burn it all. And that's what Dany did. It's an apt thing. It that like that one image I just put up here. They finally managed to break her. And they did. They broke her. She lost her brother, she lost her son, she lost her husband, she lost her people, she lost advisors, with oh god, what is his fucking name? Oh god, what's his what's the Jorah Mormont. Okay, my brain just
Not
stopped.
just him, but she also gave up Dario Naharis.
But she lost. Dany lost things throughout the entire series. That's what she did. She lost. She lost and lost and lost, and still she kept trying. She kept going.
She didn't give up.
No. And she didn't try to kill anybody unless it was don't start none, won't be none. They started some, and then shit went sideways. This is one of the quotes that I found that I liked of her. They should know whom to blame when the sky falls down upon them.
Yeah.
It's
like, look at it this way. You basically were born in the middle of a storm. You don't know anything around you. Everything that was supposed to be a part of your life has been ripped away before you even were able to take your first breath. And then you're raised to believe that your brother is the rightful heir and that you're supposed to help him take back what belongs to him. You marry the party who is at the time, without really truly knowing anything about them, supposed to be like this insane killer who will help lead you into a battle to take back what rightfully belongs to you, to end up then falling in love and, becoming pregnant, then losing your husband, and then your child to save said husband, and only to get fucked over. And then just everything, it's just like she's viewing all this turmoil and chaos from the outside, watching everything go down.
What would have been if she had just accepted Jorah? If she had just accepted him, can you imagine what that would have been? Like, that man was devoted as fuck.
He was gonna die for her.
He did die for her, technically.
He was always gonna die for her. It was inevitable. I called it from the get-go in the first season.
Out of all the strategic families in Game of Thrones, who do you think would have been the best position to marry? Okay, let me see if I can reword this. If Dany was looking for a strategic alliance through marriage to one of the great houses in Westeros, which house do you think would have benefited her the most?
Well, now, hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. He was a bastard, but he did get the name given to him later on down the road. Baratheons, honestly.
Well, I will explain to you why that may not have been the best choice.
Well, I mean, I know the Baratheons, like his dad and all them, were honestly going and wanting to kill her, but we already saw what happened to her whenever she was trying to go and do anything related with the Starks. And yes, we know that there's the Baratheon tie-in with the bloodline and whatnot.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I was like, there was a tie-in with the Targaryen line, which I'm not gonna lie, as soon as I read that, I was just like, wait a minute, back up, what?
Yeah, Rhaenys is part of the Baratheons as well.
Yeah.
She's got Baratheon blood. That's why her hair is dark instead of white. She doesn't have the regular Targaryen white hair.
Another thing that blew my mind about like what I've been finding out in this book was the fact that there was oh come on, think Rachel. My brain just completely stops. The fact that they didn't start off as conquerors. They came and started as protectors. But
Mhm.
then whenever they started being challenged, like they asked, are you willing to bend the knee? Are you willing to bend the knee? And they're like, no. But the everybody keeps talking about the Mad King, King Aerys, that was Daenerys's father. Maegor was way worse.
Mhm.
Way worse. That was
I
like,
think you have to think about this too. Everyone wants to have power. They want not just the throne, they want the power that the Targaryens have with the dragons.
yeah, I think that's
Because if
why.
you have Targaryen blood in your bloodline, you are able to have control over the dragon.
I think that's why we see Rhaenyra immediately kind of dismiss the idea of marrying the Lannister. She's just like, no, no, not happening, not happening. So I found this. This is some, of course, it's
Which
probably
then gives you
AI art. I don't know if it's AI or if it's original artwork, but I did find this, and this is a representation of King Aegon, the Conqueror, and then his queen Visenya, and then the other queen Rhaenys.
he did have sister wives, didn't he?
Yeah, this one was the one he loved. This one was the one that was psychotic. This one,
Wait, which was the psychotic one? The red or the black?
the blue, the one at the top. This one.
So she was psychotic. The one in the red was the one he loved the most.
Yeah. He loved her.
So which is the one that was actually her mother?
Oh, Daenerys's mother. I forgot. I've forgotten. Hold on, I can tell you because I think there is a family tree in this book. By the way, I'm going to be showing books like just some of the books that I have because I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan. So if you guys want to check out any of those, highly recommend you go and
She'll link them down in the description below.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely do that. Okay, I don't know where. Okay, don't know where it is. So, moving on. Let me see. The Rise of the Dragon, the Targaryen Dynasty. Another really interesting, really good book. And that is Balerion, the Black Dread on the front.
Who is the predecessor of Drogon?
And another thing that's interesting is the fact that Balerion, unlike most dragons, did not have red fire. He had bright green fire.
Mm-hmm.
Which was something that I kind of was pissed that they took away from him. Like there are different types of dragon fire. That's one of the things that I don't think ever really got talked about.
Mm-hmm.
I can't find it. But it's in here somewhere, I'm sure. But I can't find it. I can't remember.
I think the only time they ever showed any kind of colored fire was when one of Danny's dragons was turned into the
Night King's rod.
Yeah, and his fire turned blue.
But I mean, it still burned. That's the other thing. Like it didn't.
Yeah, that's like the hottest flame color you can reach.
So Rhaella Targaryen was the sister wife of Aerys Targaryen. Rhaella was also the mother of Rhaegar and Viserys, only daughter to King Jaehaerys II Targaryen and his his sister wife, Queen Shiera Targaryen. Their grandfather was King Aegon V Targaryen, and Rhaella died shortly after Daenerys' birth. This also very much seems to be a theme within the Targaryens. So in history, you learn about King Henry VIII. This is another book that I highly recommend. Game of Thrones versus history. So you learn about King Henry VIII. The entire Tudor My ancestors are rolling in their graves. The entire Tudor line.
Dishonor on your family.
Dishonor on you.
Dishonor on your cow.
But I would wish I had a cow. The Tudors had so many reproductive issues throughout their entire bloodlines, because some of them and the most of them were very inbred, let's be real, but also because they weren't necessarily the most picky. They didn't care what the attributes were whenever they married somebody. They're just like, does she look pretty? That's all I need.
Except for Henry. Henry was the one that was like the most picky of them all. I mean, he divorced one of them just specifically because she didn't look enough close to her portrait, and then his whole ordeal just he makes me itchy.
Oh, I'm gonna kick myself in the ass. I left a book down there. I gotta get the book. I have to show this one. I have to. Moving that out of the way. I feel so stupid. How could I have forgotten that one book? Oh my. Okay. This one. Powers and Thrones by Dan Jones. Square actually got this for me last year for my birthday. This is there's also an interview on YouTube that Dan Jones did with George R.R. Martin about the history that George touched on when he was writing Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon.
Pull your mic back.
Huh?
Pull your mic back. You're a little echoey.
Sorry. Like I was saying, on YouTube, there is an interview that was done by this historian, Dan Jones, with George R.R. Martin, and he goes through the specific things in history that he drew inspiration or just flat out copied. Because George literally said in that interview, I just took the best bits of history, stole them, and fixed, crafted things around them. So highly recommend this book. It is nonfiction. So don't go into it thinking you're going to get, a story or anything like that. But it deals with a lot of the finite details of the Targaryens and what influenced the Targaryens. So highly recommend that. I recommend anything by Dan Jones. The man's a fucking genius.
I want to know what they're going to do with this next spin-off show.
The Night of the Seven Kingdoms, I think it's what it's called, isn't it?
I think.
I'll be honest with you. I've only that one image I've seen of the trailer for it. I'm not 100% certain that I'm down, but I'll check it out. I mean, it's Game of Thrones. Anything with dragons, I'm down. Which, another thing that I brought up at one point in time, and JL and I discussed this, not on air, but we discussed this. The theory behind why women, and most often broken women, love dragons is because what is a dragon? It's protection, it's loyalty, it's power, it's security. All of the things broken women look for in life to feel like I'm secure, I'm safe, I have power to defend myself. Like it's all of those things.
Guys, hello. Look at baby dragon over here. Prime example.
He's the baby dragon. But I mean, it just I wanted so many good things for Daenerys. I hate, like, she tried so hard to do the right thing. Marjorie, uh Tyrell's grandmother asked her, "Are you a
Olenna.
sheep?"
Right?
And she was like, "No, I'm not a sheep." She's like, "You're a dragon. Be a dragon." And that's what she did. She took that advice. And then, granted, Tyrion was the voice of reason, let's be real. Tyrion next to Missandei, I think if Missandei had actually survived, Dany wouldn't have died. I don't think
No.
that would have happened. One, because I don't think that she would have allowed it. I think she would have taken out any threat that came anywhere near Daenerys, but also because she would have been able to warn. Like, she was basically the reason why they basically took her out for any reason is because she was a threat. And this is that moment. The lords of Westeros are sheep. Are you a sheep? No, you're a dragon. Be a dragon. And look at the way she looks at her. The way
I
that
love
she looks,
Olenna.
the way she looks at her, she's looking at her as a matron that pretty much was the only woman next to Missandei that she ever got any advice from. And I mean, this woman was betrayed, people trying to kill her left and right. She lost her
Nearly
husband.
poisoned.
Yeah, nearly poisoned, lost her son, lost her husband. Like Drogo was the love of her life. Like, yeah, shit did not start off the best way. But Drogo was, I think, probably the best husband that any Targaryen has ended up with. I mean, I honestly honestly think that she got lucky with that one.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Because I mean, let's all, like, Jason Momoa, he's not bad to look at. He's quite pretty. But he's also, I mean, I was really upset whenever they killed him off because I was just like, what? No, let the poor man live. No. And in the most undignified way, too. That pissed me off. But this was one of my favorite moments. And she tells Viserys, the next time you raise a hand to me will be the last time you have hands. And she literally stares at Tyrion and says, the next time you fail me will be the last time you fail me. And she's learning from all of her mistakes. That's one of the things that I don't think a lot of people watching the show really gave Dany credit for, with the psychology behind why she did the things she did. She destroyed King's Landing because they killed one of her sons. It cost her a dragon to try to protect it. And they were still trying to kill her. The woman lived her entire life just trying to fucking live. And she just, it wasn't even necessarily like in the beginning of the show, in those first few seasons, you see that Dany is not necessarily interested in the throne. Dany wants peace. She just wants to fucking go home. Like, that's her goal. I just want to go home. That's all I want. I just want to go home. And it's not until later on that that becomes something that and I really don't think she did it out of a desire to, like, take something or own power. I think she did it purely off of the fact that she was seeing what was happening with everyone else and was like, I have a duty. I'm of a royal line. I have dragons. I I I I have to do this. And it makes me sad.
Especially when, if you think about it, she like we were saying earlier, she gave up so much to be able to carry on the mission that basically was laid out before her from the very start. She beforehand, she never wanted to go out and do this. It was her brother's desire. But it fell onto her.
And oh my god, Viserys, let's take a second. We need to discuss this fucker. Viserys Targaryen was one of the most fucking heinous men in that entire series. Like, don't get me wrong, Ramsay Bolton, that was a bastard. But Viserys, I have never seen someone suffer from tiny dick syndrome more in my life. Like, it was unbelievable.
Daddy. Shut up.
She's just like, fire. He was no dragon. Fire cannot kill a dragon. And she fucking, this woman literally set herself on fire like 4 times. And it's just like, bitch, that shit don't work. You might want to try some ice. But I mean, it Viserys, there was the one moment where he was in the tub with Dora. I think it was her Dora.
I think her name was Dorea.
Dorea. And she was asking him about dragons. Like, what have you ever seen a dragon? Do you know anything about the dragons? And he starts, naming off of all the different dragons that there were and what became of them and things like that. And it kind of, that was one of the I'd say that's not necessarily one of the sweetest moments, but it's definitely one of the more human moments that Viserys had. He managed to, I don't know, show that part of him that was probably still the kid that felt like my entire family has been murdered. My brother's been murdered. We've been chased out of our home. We've been knocked off of our throne. Everything that I've ever known that I was ever going to have as a child is gone. And I think that twisted him in a big way. Like, he keeps talking about shouldering the responsibility of being king. That's not what it was. He wanted to take everything back and make people pay.
Daddy, please.
I'm sorry. I was never more proud of that girl than when she smacked him in the face with that belt. I was just like, yeah, do
And
it.
then freaking Drogo melted the gold. A crown made for a king.
A crown made for a king. It was awesome. Jason Momoa is a fucking badass. Which, by the way, go ahead.
If y'all haven't seen his audition when he was doing the audition for Drogo, oh my god. So basically, he did a haka. A traditional haka that's from, because he's from Hawaii, and the islands and everything. Y'all, that was epic.
No, I was going to say Victor Rawl from TikTok and Instagram, he actually got to go and meet Jason Momoa. And I'm not going to lie, you put those two men side by side, they could have literally just been brothers. Like,
that's dope.
It was so close. The resemblance was there. But I mean, I think Dany suffered from the delusion that a good person can do great things. A good person can accomplish things. But I don't think good people are capable of greatness, especially not in a world like that. When there's war, there's conniving, there's spies, there's so much that you have to battle against just to fucking live. I think Dany eventually was just like, I can only lose so much. I can only lose so much.
And then right as with it was just in the grasp of her hand, literally the smoke in her fingers. Squelch. Et tu, Brute.
Et tu birthday. This one, she's repeating in this scene, which I thought was beautiful. I have another graphic that I'm going to show. In that scene, she is literally repeating what Drogo said whenever he was walking around Bias Dothrak and screaming whenever he
To his
found out,
Khalasar.
yeah, that he was screaming all of that and like hitting his chest and everything, and pretty much making a vow that he was going to do what he was going to do for his queen, and there was never going to be anybody that stopped him. And you see not only the support but the true love between those two, a true understanding of what matters. And he was going to be by her side and see it through with her no matter what. And it's never more present than in that moment where he's just literally stomping around the capital, the holy city. Tried not to sneeze. He's tromping around the holy city, smacking his chest and saying, I'm gonna do all of this. But then when they have that moment with her at King's Landing and she's standing there, I'm trying to find the moment because there was a graphic I had that showed it. It's powerful. Here it is. Okay. Add. Okay. So this is when the wine bearer dude guy that tried to poison her with wine was captured. She addresses her Unsullied and the armies and things like that and says, "You killed my enemies in their iron suits, and I will kill the men in the iron suits. You tore down their stone houses and tear down their stone houses. You gave me the 7 kingdoms. You kept all of your promises to me." That is, like, let's be real. That's some hardcore goal right there. That woman had an idea of what she wanted, and she was literally, I mean, I think Dany changed around the time when Melisandre died. I think the second that Cersei took that from her, like she considered her almost a sister. I think the second that was taken from Dany, she was like, nothing more. Nothing fucking more. I'll be goddamned. No more. And it's something that you kind of have to admire her about because people have break points. I mean, apparently not Cersei because she was just fucking batshit the whole time. Kind of happens when you fuck your.
No, her breaking point happened when she went through the streets naked. Shame, shame, shame. Ding, ding. And then she just let it control and defile anything, any of the slightest, tiniest molecular bit of herself that could have turned around to redeem herself. It was just all destroyed.
Like, let's be real. The mother of dragons on a dragon wielding a spear.
Yeah, that's badass.
And I got to take a side quest for just a second. Okay, let me ask you this. You've watched House of the Dragon. And I'm assuming some of Game of Thrones or all of Game of Thrones. So
I've seen every episode 3 times over, woman.
Okay. I wasn't sure. I was just trying not to like misspeak. But so knowing what you know about them. I'm trying to do this the right way. What do you think about the whole saddle versus riding bareback? Because Dany didn't have a saddle on Drogon or any of her other dragons. Like,
you're talking about a conversation where we found out about how in in a House of the Dragon, they would go and they'd put the spikes in the dragons and use those for the reins and everything to help hold them in place, along with having the mount.
I think I saw those and showed you those, and you
You
explained
did.
to
You
me
did.
what they were, and I was just like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah, that shit was pretty fucked up.
I think I have a graphic of Cyrax. No, I don't have a graphic. I was gonna say there were people. I literally got into a knockdown fucking drag out on YouTube with somebody that said that Daenerys would. There was the question of would Caraxes or Drogon win in a head to head, and I was like, well, you have Daemon Targaryen flying Caraxes, and then you have Daenerys flying Drogon. Drogon is like the offspring of Balerion the Black Dread.
For one.
So that's number one. Number two, he has a more agile, more streamlined body. Caraxes doesn't fly naturally. Okay. They call him the Red Worm, which the dragon you see in House of the Dragons is a completely different version of Caraxes. That's not in reality in the book. Caraxes looked more like melees than or melees than he did what.
And if I recall correctly, Caraxes actually was somewhat deformed, if I remember correctly.
I think that's correct. I'm not 100% on that, but I mean, they were saying that uh his ability, because he was a dragon rider and he had been a dragon rider for so long, they said that he would have been a much more comparable driver. I guess that's rider, not driver, rider of a dragon. And I was like,
But see, that's where you have to take into this for fact and for recognition. Dany does not have access to a saddle. She did not have access to reins. She basically trained her dragons to allow her to ride them. So she has some serious leg strength and arm strength to be able to hold on.
You see in that one moment where he jumps down off of the building and stands beside Daenerys, she actually began to make herself padding, but it was leather and it was rough, so she could grip the spines on top of the dragon. And another thing that kind of kills me that they did show a little bit in the show. So this is Viserion, but you see these spines and these frills out through here. What you don't take into context are the spikes that are visible out, like past his back. Those are actually early warning systems for prey. Essentially, a dragon has those huge spines on his back. They have the huge spines on their back. So whenever they're like soaring and literally like shooting through the air, the spines act almost like a wind chime because they vibrate and they move. So they put out this shrieking, high pitched yell that pretty much like they do that to scare the opposing army. So just hearing a dragon come up on you, I mean, I would have shit my pants. Especially if it was Balerion the Black Dread, I would have been like, I quit. I give in. No more. This is fine. I guess I should take that off. But I mean, it's I honestly think that if Daenerys had married Robb Stark, that would have been a good match. Because Robb was realistic about things. He was very pragmatic about things. But was he the strongest kind of king? No.
No.
She would have bolstered him. She would have held him up and taught him how to be a good ruler. Danny and Rob would have changed the entire the entire outcome of the show, of the story and everything. Like those two would have been dangerous together. Like
Now, I don't know if it's book accurate or not, but is Jon Snow actually the child of the older sibling and the Starks, like as far as book accuracy goes?
I believe so. I fucking hate Jon Snow. Love like I like Kit Harington in one movie, and that was Pompeii. That's it. That's all you get. I will
That
say
was a good movie, I will not lie.
this is one of the things I thought was a really cool aspect. She tells Viserys, he's like, "What are you gonna do? Try to braid my hair next?" And she's like, "You've won no victories. You have no right to a braid." Look at that shit. Look at that shit. Like, dude had one, but look at the girl. Look at homegirl there. She got braids for days. Like, she was just like, "Bitch, look at my hair." Like,
yeah. Did you ever? Okay, hang on, y'all.
okay. I'm scrolling.
Did you
down.
guys ever notice? And I'm bringing up Sansa with this because you showed that picture of Danny. Did you guys ever notice that with Sansa and the influences that were around her, she changed her hair to match her influences?
I fucking hate Sansa Stark. I will say this: you could tell the difference in okay, so there's a moment in the show where Daenerys and Sansa are sitting at a desk or like a table, and they're talking about how things are going to go. And Danny's like, "I'm so happy to have a sister. I've never had a sister. It'll be awesome." And she was like, "I look forward to getting to know you and learning more about you and this place and everything." And she makes a comment about the throne, and Sansa automatically just kind of like turns on a fucking dime and is like, "The fuck you talking about, bitch? You ain't taking my fucking throne." And then Danny's just like, "Really?" Because Sansa essentially pledged to stand for Daenerys, and she kind of fucked her over, which is very Cersei of her.
Mm.
Be real. Very Cersei type of thing to do. There are a number of reasons why I don't like. There's so many reasons I don't like Sansa Stark, but so one of the things as you can see, my thing is justice for Drogon. So I saw this post and automatically, so people are upset about Jon being exiled. The real injustice belongs to Drogon. He lost everything. He watched his brothers die, lost his mother, and is now completely alone in the world he helped save from death and dynasty.
Justice for the dragon!
Justice for Drogon! Poor little dragon. He deserves so much better. He was such a good boy. But I think we can all, we've seen iconic shots in House of the Dragon where you see Vermax, and then you see Vagar flying in the shadows.
Hey, my baby and his dragon. Yeah, y'all, this girl, your girl over here, I'm the messed up one because Rachel, you want to tell them who's my favorite character in House of the Dragon?
She's an Aemond Targaryen type girl. So this is Vermax with Lucerys on it, and then this Hulk is Vagar.
That's my baby's dragon.
So there's that. I mean, I like, out of the dragons that I know of and I've seen, right off the bat, Balerion the Black Dread is my favorite. Next to Balerion, Drogon. After Drogon, it would be Cyrax. I mean, Vermithor is kind of cool, but I mean, I think one of the coolest moments that we saw or got to see in Game of Thrones was that moment.
Dude, Sea Smoke. Have you seen Sea Smoke?
No.
Look up Sea Smoke. And yeah, I know that was one of the most epic moments there for at least the dragons.
I'm not gonna lie, the second I saw that, like, dude put his hand on it, I was like, no, don't you fucking do it. Don't you motherfucking do it. And then it happened, and I was just like, oh, fuck. I was like, well, that's great. Like, awesome. Okay. So there is Sea Smoke.
Sea Smoke was actually the dragon of Rhaenyra's husband. Rhoynar? Rhoynar? If I remember correctly? Yeah,
Rhoynar. It was Rhoynar.
Rhoynar. But yeah. Sea Smoke did a big thing in season 2 where he just kind of appeared out of nowhere and went and like surprise mofo on somebody. Just out of nowhere. It was the best scene ever.
That one?
No, I mean that's one of the scenes. But he was in that one, he's actually going and offering his servitude to Rhaenyra. No, the best scene ever was when the dragon was going and chasing after the guy and scared the crap out of him. Like, you literally thought he was about, like, if I was him, I would be shitting my pants if that dragon was, like, right up in my face.
Like, dude's backed against a fucking rock here. If you had that in front of you, are you gonna feel safe?
No. Wait, which
I
was
would
that
need
one?
a new pair of britches. It's like I think that was Silverwing. Yeah, Silverwing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then Vermithor is the...
Vermithor is a fucking beast. Like, that dragon was absolutely... I'm going to take that off while I'm looking for something. Like, Rhaegar? Okay, let's talk about Rhaegar. We're gonna have a side quest here.
Another one. We've been in the middle of a side quest. I think we've kind of gone into like the dragon aspects now. I think we probably are gonna close out the show with a dragon renditions.
Yeah, with the dragon stuff. So this is Vhagar. Vhagar is scary as fuck, but she's ugly as fuck too. Like, that is an ugly dragon.
Hey, she's old, okay? Not all of us are as youthful as we used to be.
But also okay, so all of the information that oh, here's Vermithor. Right here. The Bronze Fury. I do love the fact that Rhaenyra was the one who's like, the Heir. And he was like, okay, sorry, bitch. My bad. But, I mean, I do think that it's kind of neat when you take into context. So, JL told me about the neck spikes that they use to attach their reins and stuff to the dragons. Vhagar, because she's so big, and you see it on Cyrax too, they don't take the spikes out. They just they put in new spikes and tie on new reins. So all of
because the spikes, if you think about it, they had the spikes and the skin and the scales heal around it to keep it in place. So if you go and remove the original spikes, you've got a likely chance that you're gonna kill the beast.
Well, I mean, the only reason I'm mentioning it is because I fervently believe, like, all of the ropes and stuff. I think you can see it a little bit in this image. like right here, the stuff hanging off of her.
Mhm.
Those are old. Those are old reins hanging off of her from where they
Mhm.
had to adjust the spike. That was, I gotta give House of the Dragon credit for that, because that legit was pretty impressive.
Mhm.
That was pretty impressive.
Girl, when you watch season 2, I bet you they already gonna know now. You're gonna blow my phone up and be like, "What the hell?"
What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? I will say this: I've seen the I've seen what happens with Malays or Malays. I fucking got so
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
can't even begin to tell you how fucking mad. And the
And
fact
then
that they cut her head off, and that was the head that they pulled through King's Landing, I was just like, "You motherfuckers."
but see,
Like,
even with that, that's like an omen. That's a bad omen. You're bringing bad juju to King's Landing. It's already got enough bad shit going on already.
no, here, well, there's her boo. That's her boo.
Damn.
My boo. I like, honestly, I love me a Targaryen, but I would straight up, I would have to say, probably out of all of the characters from Game of Thrones,
She's a
Robb
Stark
Stark.
girl all the way. Robb Stark specifically.
I would have fucking nailed that man to a wall. Like, would have been like, "This is the rest of your kingship. Get used to it. Hope you like kids." Like, that's what it would have been. Okay, this was one of the moments. Nope, that's not it. I'm trying to find the moment with Lena. So
Oh, you're talking
Vhagar
about when
is,
Lena was at that point where she it was gonna be either her or the baby.
well, no, the
Basically
baby
the
was never going to survive. This is the scale of all of the different dragons from Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. So that's what you're looking at.
Yep.
But I want to find that moment of Lena and Vhagar, because there's a
That
very
broke my heart.
it that I'm not gonna lie, it was hard to handle. It was very hard to handle. So if you have issues with character death or vicious death, or you have fears of fire, maybe you want to take a break right here. But okay, this scene, it doesn't actually
And
show her. Okay, so this,
Susie Sled.
yeah, this right here. Look at Vhagar. Like, Vhagar leans up, looks at her. Obviously, we know she can smell the blood. Okay, yeah, yeah, she burned. But when you see, her keep screaming Dracarys, and then finally Vhagar's like, "Okay, I will," and she does it. You don't see a body. There is no body. There's nothing in that fucking casket that they put into the ocean. That's an effigy at best. There
Yeah.
were no remains. I think for two reasons. And I think Lena and Daenerys proved both of these things. So I think, and um, as I've told JL numerous times, I think that Lena was transported to Old Valeria through the dragon fire. Because when we see him arrive at that arena and everything, you hear him first, and then you see him and he flies out of a plume of fire. Like, there is no dragon until he flies through the plume of fire. So, where did he come from? There has to be some form of like tunneling effect or something. So, is it possible, since dragons are technically magical creatures, is it possible that perhaps there is a type of effect that could mean that there are other Targaryens still living in Old Valyria?
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, especially given the fact that, over at Dragonstone, and then you also take into consideration, oh god, there's got to be some additional connection there with the Valerians.
I
And
think hands down, one of the most iconic images for Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon has to be this.
oh yeah, by far.
Like, let's be real. That's a bad bitch right there. And Drogon's just like, come at me, bro. I did save some information about the dragons. So do you want to go through just the little tidbits of the dragons? By the way, this was an artist representation of what Balerion was meant to look like. Look at the red spines, just like Drogon.
Mm-hmm.
But you see how this dragon was technically 500 stories high. 500 stories high. He was a fucking mountain range, not a mountain, a mountain range. Like, it was the descriptions of him and the fact that he was the only dragon that was ever able to burn stone. Keep that in context. This dragon was able to burn stone to cinders.
And then you got Drogon, who was able to melt the Iron Throne.
And the only reason why he was able to burn the Iron Throne was because he was Balerion's descendant. So I found this little tidbit about the dragons. So it's a quote by Daenerys. Uh, it says, "All I know of dragons is what my brother told me when I was a girl, and some I read in books. But it is said that even Aegon the Conqueror never dared mount Vhagar or Meraxes, nor did his sisters mount Balerion the Black Dread. Dragons live longer than men, some for hundreds of years, so Balerion had other riders after Aegon, but no rider ever flew two dragons." So that's a really interesting fact. You can't have more than two, like, it's one rider, one dragon. That's it. You can't have two riders for the same dragon.
Yeah, come on, Rebecca Euros, think about that.
And then, okay, so this is Viserion. So Viserion was known as like the cream or the gold dragon. So the majority of Viserion's scales are cream, but his horns and wings, wing bones and spinal crest, which are those little things you see Drogon flapping around, are gold colored. His teeth are shining black daggers. His claws are black and sharp. His eyes are two pools of molten gold, and his flame is pale gold, shot through with red and orange. Viserion has a roar that would send 100 lions running. Although his true color is cream, he is often referred to as the White Dragon. He knows his name. Wisps of smoke emit from his nostrils. When wounded, his blood glows gold and red. That is some stuff that's some things I did not know. Apparently, all of the different dragons bleed different colored blood.
No, that I did not know.
Okay, so we got our boy, we got Drogon. Drogon's scales are black, and his horns and spinal plates are blood red, and his eyes are smoldering red pits. His teeth are black as well. His flame is black fire, shot with red, and the wash of its heat can be felt 30 feet away. His wing flaps sound like the clap of thunder, and he bleeds black blood.
That's badass.
Like Drogon where it at? Drogon where it at? Where's Rachel?
Mm.
Rhaegal. How do you pronounce that dragon's name? Is it
But
Rhaegal?
Rick, because he was named as
Like
Rhaegar. Yeah, I'd say Rhaegal. Rhaegal?
Rhaegal?
I'd
Okay.
say Rhaegal. I'll have to go back and double check.
Okay. So this is Rhaegal. Right. It's like his name, like the person he's meant to represent is Rhaegar. So I'm
Her oldest
Rhaegal.
brother.
Rhaegal. So Rhaegal is a green and bronze dragon. His scales and wings are jade green, while his eyes are bronze. He has black claws and teeth like black needles. His flames have been described as being orange and yellow fire shot through with veins of green. So, one of the really interesting things about Targaryen dragons, and with the mix that Daenerys had of all the different types of dragons she had, they could accomplish different things with the types of fire that they had. It's pretty badass,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like she could have done so many different things. Like if Drogon had developed into the point where he had the green flame like his grandsire, I don't think ruling would have been a problem for Danny anymore. It just would have been like, really? I would have just sent him to fly over a place and be like, "What's up, bitch? You really want to go that way? Let's go that way."
Yeah.
But I mean, it's there are so many like the little baby dragons. I have a image of them if I can find it. But overall, what do you think about how do you feel about how the dragons were represented in the show?
Which one?
Any of them. Oh, which show? I'm talking about Game of Thrones.
Well, it is kind of interesting how they depict the dragon, even though technically they do also have wyvern characteristics. So, I mean, I like the CGI and everything that they did. I just feel like maybe well, then again, George is the one who wrote it. George is the one that called them dragons. So, in theory, dragon's a dragon's badass, dragon for the win.
I mean, I will say this. I think that the fact that Drogon was the one that she chose to fly, the one that she defended the most fiercely. Like,
I think that all ties back to Drogo.
yeah. It it's really interesting how particular things about her dragons gave her particular like qualities. Like you could see aspects of Viserion in Daenerys where she had there they are. There's the little cutie patooties. Look at them. Aren't they so cute? Look at the little guys. They're so adorable. So Rhaegal, for my valiant brother who died on the green banks of the Trident. Drogon, there sits Balerion, come again. Viserys, this dragon will do what his uncle could not. And technically, according to Danny, he did.
Yeah.
Which I'm not gonna lie, seeing them drag that dragon out of that water, I was not happy about that. It made me
No.
sad. It made me very sad. But the fact that this is another thing that's interesting about Danny's dragons versus any other Targaryen dragon before it. No dragon had ever, in the history of dragons being in existence in Westeros, no dragon had ever crossed the wall into the north, the far north. It never happened.
Nope.
There was a queen that tried to fly her dragon over the wall because she was curious to see what was beyond it. It flew 3 times around it, like, and turned back every single time and would not do it. And I thought that was kind of interesting, the fact that for the first time ever, it was Dany's dragons that decided they were willing to take the risk and, like, fly over that. Like, how do you how do you get somebody's loyalty like that? That's something that she instilled. She treated all of them like her actual children. And
Mm-hmm.
when you take into context all of the stuff you learn about in, um, House of the Dragon and stuff like that, it it kind of makes it that much more iconic because you see her not only accomplishing what she started out to do, which was to secure her legacy, to win back what was rightly hers, but to also punish the people that had tried to harm her or had taken from her. I'm sorry. I understand that there were, like, people want to say there was a lot of innocence in that. I get it. I don't really care. I don't really care. You had the right. You had the moment to leave. Like, look at that shit. Tell me that ain't badass.
It is.
But I mean, I really, really, really think that Danny deserved better. What do you think?
Yeah, she really did deserve better.
So, the Dance of the Dragons that's coming, who do you think's going to win?
I'm hoping Daenerys.
I think Danny will, but I also think that this is okay. This is going to sound weird, and we're going to end the show on this one. I think in the Dance of the Dragons between John, or what was his name? What was his true name? Aegon?
Yeah.
His name was Aegon. I think the outcome between that head to head could be very different than what most people think. I think it technically could I think it could surprise people. Like, I really do. I think it could surprise us
Mm-hmm.
because I kind of sort of think that I don't think that blows it up. Um I think that um Danny cared so much about John. I think she could actually maybe find her way past it. Maybe?
I don't know. George's gotta finish the book before he dies.
You better finish the fucking book. Cause like we need don't you dare leave us with unresolved dragon issues. We're not doing that. We need to know these things.
We
Like
do.
but what dragon death you've seen House of the Dragon, you've seen Game of Thrones. What dragon death most destroyed you?
Melis.
Melee's was really hard. I'm not gonna lie. That one hurt really fucking bad. I will say this, I kinda sorta think Rhaegal's was worse. I think that he was worse.
Rhaegal did get the shit end of the stick with getting turned into a White Walker. Yes.
No, that was Viserion. Rhaegal was the one, or Rhaegal, however you pronounce it. Rhaegal, I think is how it's pronounced. He was the one that fought against the Viserion that was reincarnated.
Yeah,
I think
that was
one,
hard. Brother versus brother fight. Yeah,
yeah.
that was that. Oof, oof.
I mean, and it's sad to me because it wasn't just him fighting his brother. It was him fighting his brother to protect his mother. Like, you saw how viciously he went for Viserion. He didn't give a shit. He went for fucking blood.
Mm-hmm.
That's it's kind of odd that out of all of the houses, we see dragons, we see lions, we see all of these things. But the one animal that seems to be the most loyal among all of them, ironically, are dragons.
Yep.
But like I'll say, we're gonna attempt to read Game of Thrones at some point and do some shows over them. But again, go check out this book. It's Fire and Blood. It deals with the history and the ancestry. This is what began. This was before House of the Dragon.
Like nearly 200 years before Daenerys' birth, if I remember correctly.
This one right here, Game of Thrones versus history. If you're a history buff or you want to see the correlations again with any of the tactics, the thoughts, the iconography, highly recommend that one. This one is about the feminist viewpoints on how women were treated in Game of Thrones and how they were portrayed in Game of Thrones. So that's another good one. Game of Thrones and Psychology. Highly recommend this. It has a lot of really interesting things in it when it comes to asking about the madness that apparently was inherent in some ways. And then Powers and Thrones by Dan Jones. He's one of my favorite historians. Highly recommend his stuff, any of his stuff, really. But check out his interview with George on YouTube, and then go get you one of these. This has like original artwork, original depictions of the dragons, the characters, the houses. Like it's pretty incredible. Highly recommend. So just be prepared for that one and this one to cost you a sweet chunk of change, because this one, the photography of Game of Thrones, usually costs $85. The other one, the Rise of the Dragon that I just showed you, usually costs around 65. So look around. Maybe try eBay. But those are my babies. They're so heavy. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with this. What do you think?
I did too. I liked going into Daenerys and the dragons and everything like that.
I think they were. I think who doesn't love dragons?
It's a good prelude show and dipping our toes into it before we go into our deep dive next season.
I will say this: who do you think would win in a fight, Tarn or Drogon?
I'm not even bothering to deign an answer with that one. No, you're not. No. I'm not giving you an. Nope.
Okay, fine.
Not until you read book 2. I am not going to give you an answer to that until you read book 2.
JL is still trying to get me to concede and read book 2 of Rebecca Yarros.
I want her to read it when she's ready to, but until then, I'm not going to answer that question.
We've gone over this. I have severe issues.
I know,
but Violet Soaringa. Like I have on
rage time.
I know. We're gonna go. All right, guys. We'll talk to you guys next time. We will let you know when we're going to do our next show. It won't be on the 30th because that is a significant date for the baby dragon.
Yes, baby dragon is going to be in the dens.
So we will let you guys know when we decide on another one. We may try to do maybe a TikTok discussion on some more ACOTAR stuff or something like that soon. So just keep your eyes and your ears out. And thank you to everybody who stopped in and watched.
Subscribe, do the YouTubey things, do the Instagram things, do all the things,
TikTok
and
thing.
just keep.
And I will, like she said, have all of the links to these books in the description of the show once it posts. So you can check it out then. But we're going to head out. See you guys next time.
Bye.